All right, hiker interview with Wandering Monk.
Yes.
What is your trail name and how did you get it?
Trail name is Wandering Monk. It's more than just a trail name. It's really who I am. After I retired from the Army, I went to seminary. And while I was in seminary, was going to a monastery to just spend time with the monks that were there. Because I was older and they provided community. So I became a monk. I took vows and started living that lifestyle. The difference is I don't live in a monastery. The trail is my monastery. Nimblewheel Nomad says that his church has no roof. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's sort of my way. The trail is my monastery. And so my community said, "You're never here. You're always wandering. You're just the wandering monk." And I said, "Well, I'm not the wandering monk because I'm not going to be exclusive. I'm just me. So just wandering monk." That's where it came from.
What state are you from?
The state of confusion. But from Alabama. Alabama was my home. That's where I grew up. And then I went into the military and was 30 years in the military. So I was lived all over.
How did you get started backpacking or hiking?
Besides the Army, when I retired, I said I would never do this again. And then my brother, who's sitting over there, he called me and wanted to know if I would go with him and hike a part of the Smoky Mountains, Appalachian Trail. Actually, we were out in the Smokies, in Irwin, Tennessee, and so I went with him, and he nearly killed me. That was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. And I went back home and said, I was right to not ever put on another pack again in my life. But then the bug hit me, and I started doing it more and more, and now that's pretty much what I do. Out on the trail, hike.
That's awesome. What is your favorite trail and why?
My favorite is the Wind River Range out in Wyoming. Rick and I went there a year and a half ago and hiked a circuit. We went around from Trailhead to Big Sandy Lake, and then we went through Jackass Pass, which again didn't kill me. It was appropriately named. And then we went through Texas Pass, which again is appropriately named because it's bigger. And then we went down and we went in front of the Cirque of the Towers, which is a series of mountains, 5 mountains that sort of form a semicircle. And they were the backdrop. We spent the night in front of them. And so that was our breakfast view of the Cirque of the Towers. And then we went from there on over and hit the Continental Divide Trail. And then hiked down the Continental Divide Trail, I think around 12 miles. Seems like that was right. Back to the trailhead, and then that was but it was a wonderful trip. Something very different. It's very different than the Appalachians. It's you're not in the Green Tunnel at all. There are no blazes there, so sometimes you have no idea where.
Wow. What is your favorite food to eat on trail?
Not most of the freeze-dried stuff that I've had. I think my favorite has been a macaroni and cheese, but I like ramen noodles too. So they're a contender. That mac and cheese was pretty fine.
I agree. What is your favorite season to go out in?
I think like most, spring or fall is, the temperatures are great, the views are great. Fall, the foliage, the colors are changing in the trees. I love to see that. But then in the spring when everything's coming alive again, it's special. And that's what I love about the trail. There's a mystery in the trail.
And everything's greener.
Yeah, everything's greener in the spring.
Are you ultralight, and why or why not?
Well, you see my belly sticking out, so no, I'm not ultralight. No, I am comfort light. I like to be comfortable. So I've tried to pare down what I carry. When we first started, I was carrying about 35 pounds in my backpack. Today, I carry around 24. So I've pared down. I wouldn't mind getting down a little bit more, but as long as I can carry it, I'm okay.
That's a good answer. Do you tent or hammock, and what are you using now?
I tent. I like to be on the ground. Now maybe it's my army coming out in me, but I don't swim, I don't get in the water, and I don't like to be in the air. So I tent. And I have a Z-Pax duplex, which I use. I really like it.
What is a piece of gear that you love?
You know, I hadn't really thought about it, but when Metro on the Move said his darn tough socks, that resonated. It seems silly because it's your socks, but these things, you know, they have kept my feet in the winter. If I step in water, or if we have to do a winter, we were just on the Pinhoti and did a water crossing, and got soaked up to our knees, you know, but my feet stayed warm. And I wear ultras and my darn tough socks. My feet stayed warm, and they've dried out quickly. So there we are.
What is the weirdest encounter or experience you've had on trail?
Oh, well, I've told you about the bear, and that was weird. It was another bear story, but it wasn't really my story. But it was weird enough. I think it qualifies. When I was just before the bear stole my food bag, I had met another young man on the trail who told me about he had stayed at a campsite called Standing Indian campsite at the top of Standing Indian Mountain in Georgia, and he had hung his bear bag up. The bear climbed the tree beside his bear bag, jumped out of the tree, and in midair grabs his bear bag and drags it out of the tree, falls on the ground with a thud, rolls over a couple of times, jumps back up, and runs off into the woods with his bear bag.
Oh my goodness.
So that's pretty weird.
Definitely.
But they are smart. I have high respect for bears.
What is the scariest moment that you've had on trail?
Scariest moment was for me. I was hiking in North Carolina near, I can't remember the name of the mountain. Anyway, it's known for its waterfalls, and it has one waterfall called the Hidden Fall, and you stand on the rocks and you have to look down through the cracks at the waterfall. It's beautiful.
Wow.
It's fascinating. But when I got there, I lost my way. I forgot where the blazes were at, and so I couldn't find my way back to the trail.
Oh my.
So I decided I was going to bushwhack. And I knew that the trail was down by the river, and I knew I was up away from the river, so I was going to bushwhack down to the river. And I'm cutting across, and I've got my trekking poles, and I'm trying to divide, split all the barb or the saw briars and everything, trying to make my way down. And I'm just getting ready to step, and I push my trekking pole down, and it hits nothing but air.
Oh my goodness.
And so I pulled, just before I stepped, I pulled back the weeds, and it was about a 15-foot cliff that I was at the top of, and I was getting ready to step right off the top of it. and nobody knew where I was at. So had I fallen in there, there would have been something.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I nearly stepped off a 15-foot cliff down while I was bushwhacking. So
my gosh.
Don't do that.
I can't even imagine.
Don't do that. maybe that's why I fall a lot.
Scary.
Do you have any advice to people who are just getting started, or something that you wished you knew when you started backpacking?
You know, there's been a lot of great advice as far as equipment and as far as how to get started into it. And it's been great. So I was trying to think of something different that I could share. My advice is to truly make it your own hike. Find out what is about it that you enjoy and hang on to that. And when everybody else is telling you what you need to do, don't lose sight of why you're doing it. That it's your hike, it's not their hike. So hike your own hike.
That's golden. And Ghost laminated this for me, and he wrote on the back in Sharpie, "Do you believe in Bigfoot?" He wants to know.
I have to say no. You know, a friend of ours, as the crow flies, hiking, we were hiking over at the land between the lakes, and there's supposed to be the land between the lakes monster, and I think we found him. I think we found it. It was an owl.
The screech owl.
The screech owl was screeching and hollering, and I think, yeah. So
That's
I
his
haven't
beast.
seen him, so I won't say that he doesn't exist. I know I didn't see him.
Thank you for letting me interview you. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun, and this is Wandering Monk, everybody.